Hello everybody, CritCrab here with another story, this one being more of what I would call an RPG redemption story. A story about a DM redeeming D&D for a group of players that were taught by a horrible DM. Without further ado, roll post. Years ago, I inherited a group of players who moved to my area together. They were eager to continue playing in the campaign they left behind and were looking for a new DM. When approached, they were a bit timid as they had spent a decent amount of time with their characters and were afraid to hand them over to a new DM. When I agreed to take over, they each gave me a folder. The folder included their character sheets, notes, and post-game write-ups. I was impressed with the level of information they kept. I told them I would look them over and give them back in a couple of days. At this point, they seemed confused and told me the rules are for the DM to hold all the character sheets to prevent cheating. It turns out, the DM they had played with for a few years had made up a handful of official rules, including that the DM keeps all the player records. Another rule, for example, was that failing to write an after-game report meant a forfeit of experience gained for the session. I spent an entire weekend reading the reports and notes from their campaign. The information included reports from past characters, so I was able to piece together a history of their campaign. They had played through some well-known modules, and the encounters and progression were easy to follow. What stood out to me, though, was that several encounters were spiked to make them more difficult. An easy encounter with 4 orc scouts was doubled to 8 orcs. Traps that do 1d4 damage on activation ended up doing 2d6 or outright killing players. The changes being made turned some of the simplest adventures published into Class S PC grinders. After making a timeline comparing the pre-packaged adventures to what the players experienced, I made an interesting discovery. A certain DM NPC has been inserted into the games. His character was higher level and constantly berated the players, for a fee which consisted of the golden items they managed to scrape out of the previous adventure. He would assist them, of course his mysterious help was always behind the scenes. For example, he told them he would infiltrate a dungeon and lure away some monsters so that they could have an easier time. That session they paid him. He ran the module as written instead of adding harder traps and additional monsters. It became quite apparent that refusing his PC's demands led to the players having to face harder challenges designed to wipe the group. I eventually got them sorted and deprogrammed, as it were. Working with them, I taught them the most important aspect of gaming is to have fun. It took some time, but they loosened up and each gaming session ended with a smile. I even helped them get a bit of revenge. When I picked up where the campaign left off, I had the players discover that the DMPC was a bad guy working against them. He was lying and using them to gain power. I revealed to them in-game what the DM was guilty of to soften the blow. Each session, as more came out in-game about his treachery, combined with their newfound experience of how the rules really work, they started putting 2 and 2 together. Our final session, the players finally caught up to him and after a heated battle captured him. They each emotionally took out their frustration on me as a proxy, but finally executed him in the name of all the friends they lost. After the adventure, they thanked me and retired those characters, and we started a new campaign. Even though the campaign ended, we weren't quite done yet. At the time, we were using AOL Instant Messenger, and one of the players told the previous DM about the final adventure. He demanded my IM. He contacted me in caps, telling me I had no right to kill his PC. He went on and on about me breaking the rules of D&D and proceeded to tell me he was officially killing all of their characters. He then told me I had to ship him the folders as if they were his property or he would report me to the police. His final barrage was his intent to write a letter to Wizards of the Coast and was going to have me barred from DMing ever again. I wished him good luck with that and closed the session. To this day, part of me wonders if an angry worded letter ever arrived and was discarded at Wizards of the Coast. TLDR, bad DM used the game to emotionally abuse new players and I helped them recover. Oh, and he tried to have me barred from DMing. Edit. Just for clarification, the trio were a couple and one of their cousins. They started playing with the original DM when they met him at a comic shop. In their area, RPG groups existed, but most of them were very close-knit and finding a way in could be difficult. The DM invited because he left his previous group and planned on starting a new one. He chose his players specifically focused on newer players, vetting them to make sure they would fit in his game. Why did the players keep playing? The game was difficult and frustrating. They would take small breaks after losing characters, but the story was fairly engaging. He wasn't a bad DM because of how he ran his games, but how he manipulated them to believe that the way he ran his game was the way all games ran. Plus, all three of them were going through some rough times. They worked, and with what free time they had, playing was a cheap form of entertainment that they got to experience together. End post. Wow. This is easily one of the most enjoyable stories I've read in a while, but the real fun, of course, was in the comments. This is the RPG equivalent of those videos where an abandoned kitten gets cleaned up and vaccinated, etc. I love it. Sounds like a good charity cause. For pennies a day, you too can help lift a poor, abused D&D group out of the toxic environments they're stuck in. This group spent 3 months hunting down a big bad evil guy only to have the DM NPC storm in and kill it for them. This DM arranged an entire homebrew campaign only to have that guy scare everyone off on session 1. Give now, donate to the number at the bottom of the screen, and with some help, we can get these people the non-asshole DMs and players they deserve. Anyways, as always, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories just like this one. Till next time.